Okay, peeps. What's your first memory?
My first memory?
Yeah, do you remember?
My first memory?
Yeah, like your first memory, like your youngest memory.
Well, maybe we better go through the questions first. I mean, one like that, you got to give some thought. My first memory, I guess, would be 4 years old, living over in Marine City. We lived in a little shack, and it honestly was. You know, Papa had fixed it all up. It was nice and everything. Had a little fenced-in yard, and I wasn't allowed out of the yard. I guess that would be one of my first memories. I don't remember floating around in the womb or anything.
I
So,
would hope not.
so anyway,
Listen, I'm 21. I couldn't tell you my first memory, so.
that would be my first, because I can remember that like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
I was 4 years old.
What was your favorite holiday when you were little?
Christmas.
Why? Presents?
No, just the atmosphere, the presents, everybody was happy. We had, you got to remember, I had 12 aunts and uncles, and we all lived around here.
You did?
And I had 33 first cousins.
Oh.
So Christmas was a big.
I got gypped.
Yeah, you did. So Christmas was a big deal.
Is it still your favorite holiday?
Huh?
Is it still your favorite holiday? Or what is now?
I don't really have one now. They're all my favorites.
Real Easter and Christmas are not equally favorite. Come on now.
Yeah, to me they are, with the ham dinners we have and the get-togethers, and yeah.
What about Thanksgiving? Your favorite
Same
son
thing.
comes in.
Yeah, I couldn't pick one out now.
What was it like growing up in your house with Papa and Aunt Feen and Aunt Deb and Aunt Bobby?
I have two different worlds that I grew up in. The one was over in Marine City till I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
My dad worked at Frigidaire. My mom, she was an entrepreneur. She did everything.
What did she do?
You name it. She worked at Delco. She worked at General Motors for a while.
Uh-huh.
She worked in department stores. She was manager of department stores. She owned her own real estate company. She was a realtor, Caldwell Realtor.
I do remember seeing a sign for that.
She had an accounting. She did taxes
Mm-hmm.
in from January to April 15th. She did a lot of things. She was more than as many as me.
Good.
So I have two different worlds. I got that world of living over there with the inside the fence,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I was 9 years old, we moved up to the farm, and there were no fences on the farm. And
Were they building the apartments now? Is that what it was?
that's where they're building them. Yeah, where the main building was the house and barn. That's where I grew up from I was 9 till I was 18.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was really two different worlds. And what was it like? I was the only boy with three sisters. Our grandmother, my mom's mother, lived with us from the time I was 10 years old till I was 18 when she passed away. And needless to say, who her favorite grandchild was.
Uh-huh.
The only boy in the house.
Uh-huh.
And and growing up in my house was just hallmark, really. I mean, we never wanted for anything. We had food on the table, a roof over our head.
Mm-hmm.
It was just wonderful.
Did Papa make you do a lot of work?
We did a lot of work, but no, he didn't make us do anything. I mean, he would strongly suggest we did things, but no, he was not a tyrant or anything like that.
Yeah.
So.
Did you play any sports?
I played baseball, basketball, football, and ran track.
Like in high school?
Till
like
my
just in
sophomore
general?
year. Yeah. I figured out this is a waste of time. Plus, I lived in the country, so practices were after school. I had to walk back and forth.
Oh yeah, and the high school was like downtown, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like where it
Sixth
is
Street.
now.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. How'd you meet Mimi?
How did I meet Mia? She was Aunt Deb's best friend,
Yeah.
for one thing. And that's how I met her.
Just Aunt Deb.
She was
From
my
Aunt Deb?
sister's best friend.
You were never in the military, were you?
No.
I didn't think so. But you worked at
NCR, Armco, and then self-employed after that.
oh yeah, with the
I worked at
business.
a ton of places, but
Which one's the one that you traveled with a bunch?
Armco.
Do you have any pictures from when you traveled?
No,
What the heck, people?
I wasn't allowed to take pictures. But anyway,
Why were you doing secret CIA work?
next question.
Tell me about being an Armco.
Huh?
Tell me about Armco, like what you did and why you had to travel.
I was with Armco's engineering division, and it was kind of like what Rich does. It was engineering and
Very
construction,
obscure.
and we built buildings or helped build buildings all over the world. And I was the Armco building, which is a metal building. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but and we would build. We didn't build little buildings. We built anything from 200,000 square feet to 500,000 square feet,
Mm-hmm.
and we helped build buildings all over the world.
So that's why you had to travel everywhere?
Yeah.
Kind of like exactly why Rich has to, right?
Do I?
It's like almost exactly why Rich has to.
Yeah.
Now.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yes. I was the Armco building expert. I knew every piece there was to the Armco building and what the number of the piece was, where it went, why it went there.
Mm-hmm.
So
What did you do at NCR?
I was a factory worker at NCR.
Okay. How'd you go from that to Armco?
Well, my 6 years at NCR, I was going to night school the entire time because NCR paid for it. You got to see her better. So
Nice.
Yeah.
But you never got a degree, did you? Didn't you just like take random classes?
Yeah.
That you needed?
I took whatever. I took the required classes. I didn't take any of the electives.
Okay.
Well, I took a couple. I took psychology and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
no, all I took was business and engineering.
I skipped a question. Going back to when you were in school. What was your favorite subject?
When the final bell rang, and that's the truth. I got there.
What, were you a straight C student?
I would stay. Yeah, I was a straight whatever it took to get by. I learned very little in high school.
Let's see. This says, do you have children? I know the answer, obviously. Yes.
Yes, I paid for 2 of them anyway.
It says, tell me what it was like to be a parent.
That is a non-question. There is no description for what it's like to be a parent. Compared to what? To not being a parent?
I don't know.
Yeah, nah, that's not.
How was it to
even-
parent my mother?
Yeah, to ask a question like that is that's a non-question. So, what's it like to be a parent? It's a lot of work, but then again, it's not work. It's not all fun and games, but then again, it is all fun and games. So that question does not have an answer to me.
Okay.
To me.
Obviously you have grandchildren. Hello.
Last count, I had 6. So,
I would hope that's all you have. There's no secret ones out there.
yeah.
Tell me about your grandchildren, especially your favorite one that's sitting in front of you.
Tell you about my grandchildren.
Yep.
We start with the one, Suffolk Kettering, the oldest. start with the one in Kettering right now. He lives 500 miles away. And then go to the next one, Clayton. And then Riley.
You gotta tell me about
And
Clayton.
then Emma.
Just
Or,
listening
and
to
then
this
Mallory. And then Emma. And then Addie.
Yeah.
So you take all 6 of them and put them together, and it is totally indescribable. They are just, nobody believes me when I tell them, because they got druggies, they got bad kids, they got disrespectful kids. I tell them I don't, they don't believe me. So.
We're just so perfect.
Yes, you are.
Cody, you gotta tell me a little about, I know, but like, I don't know, I guess you don't really need to because I know all of your grandchildren.
You
obviously.
can answer that, yeah.
This isn't part of the question, but I think it'll take up the rest of the time. Tell me about the whole hip thing again. From the very beginning, because that'll give me a lot to put on
Well,
the
you don't
project.
need my spokesperson in to do that because I wasn't there most of the time.
Well, like what it started with.
It started in, actually, if you want to put a start to it, it'd been building up. But when I finally figured out that there was something wrong was 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to the doctor. Well, they made the determination, and they took MRIs, everything, that it was bulging discs and pinched nerves.
Right.
And so they treated me for that from 2012 to 2015. For 3 years, sent me to physical therapy, which made it worse naturally because of my hip. One neurosurgeon was going to operate and fix everything. He was going to operate on my spine and fix everything. For whatever reason, I dropped him. Like, I don't know why, but he was going to do that, and then he said, no, we need to do the injections. And that was at the time when that meningitis was floating around with the injections, and so I didn't do the injections. I called and canceled my appointment to go back and see him. And then I started going to the chiropractor. They started doing acupuncture, and it actually made it better. It really did. Mm-hmm. The acupuncture and the chiropractor. And then the chiropractors are the ones that finally said, we better take a picture of this. That's those pictures up there. Mm-hmm. And so they took an x-ray, and they said, this is your hip. There's nothing we can do. So I go to the guy down in Middletown.
Wait, pause. Didn't I think it was Lyme disease at one point? Briefly?
This is later.
Or was that just us?
That's later.
Oh, that was after the...
So they thought it wouldn't get well because it was, they didn't know what it was. I think Lyme disease did come up.
I thought that was why your pain.
Before we found out it was...
Your hip.
The hip.
Yeah, because you had that tick on you.
So I go down to Middletown and went to what I thought was a good, it was just simple hip surgery. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd play golf with guys that would have hip surgery, and 2 weeks later they're back out playing golf. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So how can anybody screw that up? Well, it got screwed up. So
I'd say.
So from there, I went from 15 to 16, went a year of every antibiotic known to science. Everything from PICC lines to midlines to the whole 9 yards. Went to the wound vac doctor, the wound doctor, wound clinic down there. They did their thing, which was nothing.
Well, because they thought it was surface level.
Yeah, they thought it was, they were saying it was an infected
stitch. Mm-hmm.
So, and then it hit, and I went to the emergency room in Middletown and ended up in Cleveland. And let me tell you the rest. You know the rest. You were there.
I know, but.
And then.
But why do you have to go to Cleveland?
But what I remember is it's that February 8th, 2016.
Mhm.
And matter of fact, I was at the hip doctor. I was in his office. I was turning purple and couldn't breathe.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was at his office. And he told Sharon to get me over to, because it's just, on the other side of the
It's right
interstate.
there. Yeah.
Just get me over there as soon as I can, as soon as she can. So I remember she took me over. I drove down to the doctor's office that morning.
Mhm.
So anyway, she takes me over. We go in. We come up to the nurse, and she takes one look at me and yells back to bring a wheelchair out. I sit down in the wheelchair, and that's all I remember until sometime in March. So from there on, you guys tell me all this went on. Mimi tells me. I know nothing about what went on from February the 8th at about 11 o'clock in the morning till sometime in March when I woke up in Cleveland.
Mhm.
So, and then that's when the fun began for me. Fun. But when I did wake up, I was so full of drugs, so full of anxiety, so full of PTSD that 2016 was just a total blur to me. And then 17, and it's not, January 1st. I'm not saying 16, 17, 18.
Right. Just in general.
Anyway, in general, 2016 is a total blur. I remember nothing about 2016. And then 2017, it started getting better, but it was like, something's not right. That there's certain things that I just flips my switch.
Mhm.
So I was when I was getting my cataracts taken care of, I was talking to the doctors up there, mainly the anesthesiologist,
Mhm.
telling him about it, and so he said it was PTSD. So
From the hip stuff.
no, from the end of life experience.
No, from like the coma and.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah, and having a 1% chance of survival.
But you didn't know that at the time.
Evidently, I did.
You still remember doing it?
I knew everything that was going on in 2016, except when I was in a coma and unconscious.
Yeah.
I just don't remember. So, but and that's about what that amounts to. Is yeah, I was conscious. I was talking. They tell me.
Yeah. Except for the time that you were in a coma.
Yeah, I just don't remember it yet. Period.
Yeah.
And there are still things that flip my switch, but it's getting better all the time. So this is 2019. So
Mhm.
that was 3 years ago.
Talk about some of the stuff that like I don't know if you remember or if you told Mimi when it happened and she had to remind you. Like when you were in a coma, like the dreams and stuff. Like the stuff that you remember, like with Papaw and.
Unless you have been in a coma, you can't describe it. You and I are sitting here talking. We're looking at each other. We're talking. When you're in a coma, and you're having hallucinations, that is just as real as me and you sitting right here.
Yeah.
So, it's not a matter of, you were hallucinating. No, it wasn't. It was real.
Mm-hmm.
So who are you to tell to say what's a hallucination and what's real?
Yeah.
So that changes your outlook on
like
everything.
When you thought the nurses were cracking guns.
Well, it wasn't just that. It was hundreds. It would just go from one to another to another to another. It was.
Could you hear like
quite adventurous?
The doctors and the nurses and Mimi.
No.
When you were in coma.
No.
You couldn't.
No. There was nobody there but me and these strangers, and they were all strangers. There were no familiar faces in the whole thing.
Didn't you say you like went to your own funeral in your coma?
I had a funeral. The familiar
like
faces were people that
Papa
were
and-
already deceased.
Papa and Aunt Deb and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
was at my own funeral.
Granny Colwell.
Papa Penny, Granny Penny. That's the only familiar faces there were people that were already deceased.
Right.
But there was no live, you weren't in it, none of the kids were grandkids, the kids, Mimi.
Mm-hmm.
I take that back. Mimi was in some, but it was totally inexplainable how she was in it, and but nobody else.
Hmm.
And it was just one of those where you had to have been there. It makes you wonder, what is the real world? Because that was real. There was no hallucinating. There was no, that's not real. Yeah, it was. You weren't there. You don't know if it was real or not. It was. And kept getting kidnapped.
Kidnapped?
Every time I turned around, I was getting kidnapped by this rogue nursing group that was, they were going to prove to the world that hospitals were just killing people. So they kept kidnapping me and kept taking my blood. I mean, every time you turn around, they were sticking a needle in there and taking my blood. And but they weren't really doing anything medicinally.
Yeah.
But that was their goal. And it was the same group over and over and over and over.
That's so weird.
And they were out to prove to the world that hospitals did more harm than good.
Huh.
So yeah, that one kept popping up. And then there were some that they're totally inexplainable. I mean, it was 200 years ago. I was out.
You time traveled?
Well, I'm just telling you that it was. I was a coal miner down in eastern Kentucky, and a farmer, and living off the land. I wasn't a farmer. I was just living off the land.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. It was just.
But you actually remember all that?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I remember all that.
So you remember your hallucinations or your coma stuff, but you don't remember what actually happened?
Oh no,
That's
I don't know
crazy.
what was going on while I was laying there, and they were stacking, ice blankets on me and this and that and everything. I don't remember any of that. I just
Obviously.
remember my hallucinations while I
Yeah.
was there. And then the final one, when I woke up, was walking through the cloud with,
I remember you talking about that.
yeah. So
With, what was it, with Papa?
no, with
With,
with God.
yeah.
And we were walking through the cloud, and it was just, we were just walking through there talking,
And then you woke up?
and he was standing on this side, and we're just walking along, and I heard this rumbling sound. We were going that way.
Mm-hmm.
What way it was, I don't know, but and there was this cloud that was about just a little over ankle deep. It wasn't some big cloud. It was just a cloud. And what I remember in all my other hallucinations, with the doctors and all that, I had a bad leg. I couldn't walk. Well, in this one, there was absolutely nothing wrong. I walked, no pain, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're walking along, and we're talking, and I hear this rumbling sound. And so we keep walking, and I keep hearing it, and we stopped. I stopped, he stopped, and there's this rumbling sound coming, and how you zero in on something when you hear it in a distance, and they were calling my name. This rumbling sound was, and I looked over at him, and he was he was always smiling. So anyway, and then I looked back at the rumbling sound, and they were calling my name. And then I heard this voice that said, "People, wake up." And I
Who was
woke up.
calling you people?
Lene.
Lene? Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
She said it twice. And they tell me it was 2:30.
I mean, how can you...
It was 2:30 in the morning. I woke up.
Anne was sitting there at 2:30 in the morning?
No, she wasn't even there.
Oh, you just heard Anne's voice and it wasn't really...
Yeah. Or maybe she was there. But no, she wasn't. It wasn't her. It was the hallucination. She wasn't saying people all wake up. The rumbling sound wasn't a rumble from whatever.
Yeah.
Did I lose you?
No, I thought maybe like you actually like heard them, like you were like they could tell that you were starting to wake
No,
up. So
that came out of the rumbling sound. People all wake up.
Yeah.
That came out of the what they would call a hallucination, but it wasn't because it was real. So,
yeah.
So,
do you remember like? I know you don't remember like being in Cleveland, right? Much of it. You don't remember much of being in Cleveland.
No, I don't
What
remember
about, like-
going. I don't remember getting on the jet, flying up, nothing.
What about like life care when you were up at Kettering?
Yeah, I remember all that.
Okay.
I mean, I was.
So it's pretty much just Cleveland when you don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
So all I did
graduation.
up there was get an IV every 4 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Do you remember my graduation?
Huh?
Do you remember my graduation?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember your graduation. Yeah, I was in a wheelchair because I only had one leg.
Because you had that spacer in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember your graduation. I really, after I woke up, I pretty well remember everything. I still don't remember Cleveland. I don't remember the step down that Mimi keeps talking about. I really don't remember any of that. But yeah, I remember that time you guys came up there.
Yeah.
I remember that. That
Yep.
was in the step down, I guess, wasn't it?
Yeah, we weren't allowed to see you until
Yeah.
like we had been up there a lot before,
Yeah.
but we weren't allowed to come back and see
But
you.
no, I remember you guys went to Little Italy and had those desserts that you brought back. And, But that's all I remember about Cleveland. That's it. Period.
Yeah.
That's-
You
well, I
guys told
remember getting on
everybody
the-
that I was going into nursing school.
I remember getting in the ambulance and coming back down here.
Yeah.
I remember that part about Cleveland. But no, I don't remember Cleveland at all. And then later on I do, when I had to go back up and all
do it
that.
again.
But that part of Cleveland from February the 8th or 9th, February 9th at 5:30 a.m. That's when I got up there. That's what Mimi said. Until, I guess it was like February 26th when I woke up. And then I came back down here first part of March and stayed the entire month of March up here. Yeah, I remember all that.
No, you came home when I was on spring break. Do you remember that?
No.
Coming home, like home.
Yeah.
Uncle Chris and all them were here, and I was on spring break. It took me
Chris was
forever.
here when I came home?
Yeah.
From Kettering?
It might not. He might have been here.
No, they were here a little later.
Like that weekend. He was
All
here.
that was here was your Rich and your mom and Rich and
Clayton and Emma and Eddie.
and they had me
Yeah.
sign welcome.
Well, that's what I couldn't. I saw that sign in the basement,
Yeah.
and for the longest time, I could not figure out why. I don't remember that at all. Like I don't remember that sign.
You
I
weren't here.
don't remember you coming home. It took me forever to realize that it's because I wasn't here. I was on vacation.
Yeah.
I was on senior spring break.
So, but as far as memories go, it's a combination of what they've told me, and then it'll how the mind works. Oh yeah, I remember that when I really don't. They just told me about it. It was the hallucinations of. I remember them just like it was. just like it was real.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think you ever said, but what happened was the infection it was in your bloodstream for so long, you were septic for so long, that it ate a hole through your septum of your heart, right?
I had 3 valves, 2 of them replaced, the third one, restructured, had a hole in the septum and 2 arteries.
There's holes in 2 of your arteries?
Do I?
There's holes in 2 of your arteries, or like it had clogged 2 of your arteries?
No, it ate them.
It ate them?
Yeah. First it ate all the abductors in my right leg.
Right.
And then it went up and ate my heart. So, as far as I know.
Something else, wasn't there?
Do I?
No, that was it. Because it and then what brought you to the ED was because you were having a heart attack because of the infection. Or they thought you were having a heart attack.
Yeah, that's what
because
brought
the
them
infection.
in. But it wasn't a heart attack.
But it wasn't. It was
endocarditis.
Yeah.
Acute endocarditis.
Look at you in your medical terms.
I had two arteries. They took these out and put them up here. Put a piece of bacon on the hole in the septum. Put a piece of cow in the 2 arteries and repaired the third, or 2 valves and repaired the third. And you can't even see the scar. That's what's amazing.
You can't see it anymore?
No, can't even see it.
I remember when it was new.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah. I haven't paid any attention to it. But...
And I got 6 little white places where they had tubes stuck in. And for some reason they're white.
Scars?
I guess. They're those little white circles. 2 there, 1 there, 2 there, and 1 there.
That's funny.
And I still have throat problems from having all them tubes.
Being intubated and G-tube and all that for so long.
Yeah. And I still even spit up old blood every now and then, and I figure that's what it is. That's still fragile.
It damages your it can damage your lungs. It's common in babies too.
But still got anxiety problems, or not real problems, just issues, anxiety issues, but I'm finding out that that's a post-traumatic syndrome of open heart surgery is anxiety.
Makes sense.
So, yeah.
What's the time on that say?
33.
Sweet. Next time, we're going to talk about more when you were little, because I didn't get enough time of that. Or like when you were